Hi everybody, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to solve today's Leetcode problem. Today's Leetcode problem is for sum 2. So let's try to understand the problem statement, and after that we will see the logic behind solving this problem. So we have given four integer array like nums1, nums2, nums3 and nums4 of length n. It means that all array has fixed length, equal length, and that is n. Return the number of tuples ijkl such that ijkl is greater equal to 0 but less than n, and also the sum of all the tuples is equal to 4. Okay, so let's try to understand. Basically the problem statement is that we have given four array of integer and we have to find the tuples are of 4 in number, okay, such that the sum of all the tuples is equal to 0. So let's try to understand this problem in with the help of whiteboard. So we have given the array of integer. Let's suppose nums1 is having the element 1 and 2, and nums2 having the element -2 and -1, nums3 having the element -1 and 2, and nums4 is 0 and 2. So basically we have to find tuples. Tuples are having 4 in number. Let's suppose x, y, z or w, anything else. And if the sum of all the tuples x plus y plus z plus w is equal to 0, and x belongs to the nums1 and y belongs to nums2 and z belongs to num3 and w belongs to nums4. So our brute force approach is that let's iterate all the array and form all possible tuples and see how many tuples giving the sum 0. So for this we will need we will traverse four loop, okay, because we have to generate all possible tuples. All possible tuples means first we pick the one from the nums1, and after that if we pick -2 from nums2, and if we pick -1 from nums3, and we pick both the elements from nums4, okay, both the elements. It means that first we pick 0 and after that we pick 1. Similarly we do all the possible tuples from all the given sum array, and whoever gives the sum is equal to 0, then we will increase the answer. So we have to return the number of tuples. Number of tuples we will generate from the 4 array that gives the sum is equal to 0. So from the basic approach, if we try to solve, then we require 4 in loop. For first loop, let's suppose I is equal to 0 is iterate from 0 to n1 for this is for loop for nums1, and for nested that loop for suppose j is equal to 0 to n1 for nums is equal to 2. And if I consider again for loop k is equal to 0 to n, this is for nums3, and again nested a loop for l is equal to 0 to n, and this is for nums4, okay, this is for nums4. And whenever the this condition satisfy that, whenever the condition satisfy like that, if num of 1 of I plus 2 of j plus 3 of k plus 4 of l is equal to 0, then we increase the answer is equal to answer plus plus. Then if we try to solve using this approach, then the time complexity is big of n to the power 4. So this is a very bad complexity. So if you try to submit the code using this approach, then we will give the TLE, time limit exceed, because this is a very bad complexity. So let's try to optimize this code and see how we'll optimize the code. So if if you have solved the two sum problem, then from there we would see that we use unordered map in order to optimize the time complexity. So see how the unordered map optimize the complexity. Suppose the first approach we will discuss, that take big O of n power 4. Let's try to see another approach that takes some better complexity than the previous approach. So big O of n square. So in this approach, what I did, suppose we store the element that appear in any array. Suppose if we put the nums for element in unordered map, like 0 occurs one time and 2 occurs one time, then for NQ approach we do same thing, that we generate all possible triplet, and suppose let's take the let's understand the pseudocode that we would apply for NQ solution. So for NQ solution, we iterate zeros to n for nums1, okay, nums1, and similarly we nested a loop j is equal to 0 to n for nums2, and similarly for k is equal to 0 to n for third array, okay. And if we find, if we suppose, see, we have to generate all the tuplets. Suppose let's say the tuplets we get is I plus j plus k plus l is equal to 0, okay. And with the help of 3 loop we will able to generate third tuples, all possible third tuple. And if we find the -1, suppose I plus j plus k is equal to minus l, okay, minus l. So if we find minus l, if we find minus of these things in from the nums4 that are stored in the unordered map, then we will able to say that we get the 4 tuple that sum is equal to 0. Because see, if we get minus of ijk in the unordered map, then in place of these things we will write minus l. So minus l plus l is equal to 0. Then we are able to say that we get the tuples whose sum is equal to 0. So in this condition we would check if mp dot find mp is the unordered map. So if I find minus of I plus j plus k in the map, then we would increase the number of times the occurrence of that element, okay. So we would increase the answer is equal to answer plus whatever the occurrence of this element. So for finding the occurrence of this element minus I plus j plus k, this happens. So we will able to find how many tuples are available that gives the sum is equal to 0. So this is the big O of NQ approach, and it takes time complexity of big O of n, because we store the element from any array in the map data structure, okay. So if you try to submit this problem, then this also give the TLE, because it also takes the time complexity of big O of NQ. That is better than the previous one, but yet the NQ approach is bad. Let's further optimize this approach and see how we will solve this using the big O of n square approach, okay. So in the previous approach, as I have discussed, that we take a unordered map that store the occurrence of the element in any of the array, and after that we find the negative of all the triplet we get, okay. And if it exists, then increase the number of occurrence of that element, that triplet, okay. But in this approach, what if we store all the possible doubles of two array? That is, if we store the all the couples of the two arrays, suppose if we take nums 3, that is -1 -2, and nums 4, that is 2 or 0 or 2. So if I store the sum of all the couples, that is here the couples form -1 0, -1 2, 2 0 and 2 2, and take the sum of these couples and store the occurrence of each couples in the unordered map. So here -1, here 1, here 2, here 4. So store all the occurrence in the unordered map. -1 occurs one time, 1 occurs one time, 2 occurs one time, and 4 occurs one time. Okay, then what we will do, generate all possible couples from these two array and check whether the negative of the couples exist in this array or not. If exist, then increase the number of times the couples occur. Suppose let's try to write the pseudocode that we will use in this approach. So in this approach, what I will did that generate all the couples of any two arrays. So for generating all the couples, what I did, generate I is equal to 0 to n for nums1 and nested the loop for I is equal to j is equal to 0 to n for nums2 and generate all the couples, and if I find negative of this couple, so if I find MP of negative of I plus j in the map, then we would say that we get two couples for that we can say that we get tuples that give the sum is equal to 0. Suppose in these cases all the couples we get are, suppose the vector is arrays 1 2 and -2 -1. So we get all the couples like 1 comma -2, 1 couples, this one, again this one, 1 comma -1, again 2 comma -2, again 2 comma -1. So they take the sum is equal to -1 and sum is equal to 0 and sum is equal to -2 0. Okay, and sum is equal to what, 1. So if I able to find the negative of this number in the, so negative of this number is equal to 1. If 1 is exist in the unordered map, then take the occurrence of that element. Yes, 1 is exist, so occurrence of 1 is equal to 1, so answer is equal to 1. Again see, the minus of this number exist or not in the map. No, it is not exist, so nothing we will do. 0 not exist, so -1 this is equal to -1. -1 exist, yeah, -1 exist and occurrence is 1, so increase the answer by 1, so answer is equal to so we will return the answer is equal to 2 in the function. So this is our answer. So let's try to understand with the help of code that I will submit in the Leetcode. So let's see. So as I have discussed the last approach, that's also I will not, so the time complexity of this approach is big O of n square and a space complexity is big O of, if we take these things, so if the number is 3 and this also 3, to generate all the numbers, so the 3n to n, okay, space, because it takes the what it takes the nested of two loop and store it in the unordered map. Okay, so let's understand the with the help of code. So in the last approach, as I have discussed, that we take an unordered map of int. First take the size of the vector and after that take the answer initialized with 0. Okay, so we do the nested of two loop and store the sum in the any map array. In this case, if we take 1 2 and -2 or -1, so the sum of all the pairs generated and store it in the unordered map. So here the pair generated are generated sum is -1, 0, 0 and 1. Okay, so these are stored in the unordered map and occurrence of each element is 1. And in the second for loop, B generate all the pairs and find the negation of pair exist in the unordered map or not. So see, negation of -1 plus j exist or not. If exist, then increase the number of times they occur. After doing this, B return the answer and B will see that we will get the correct answer. If you try to submit this code, then you will get the correct answer. Let's try to submit and see whether it will be submitted or not. So it will be correct for test case number 1, and if you try to submit, then it will be submitted for all the test cases. So thank you for watching the video. See you in the next video.